For your linear perspective exercise, you will create several line drawings to help you understand 1 and 2 point perspective. I'm going to begin with the elevator shaft of cubes in 1 point perspective, crossing above and below the horizon line or eye level. Using a ruler or other straight edge, draw a horizontal horizon line. Then mark your chosen vanishing point along that horizon line. Next, I will draw the closest plane of my cube perpendicular to the ground plane. For this exercise, I will draw my cube crossing above and below the horizon line. Then I'll connect each corner to the vanishing point. Remember to use your straight edge for this exercise. From here, I chose how tall I wanted to make each cube in my stack, marking with horizontal lines parallel to the ground plane. Next, I connected these new corners to my vanishing point. Then I decided how wide to make my stack of cubes by drawing a vertical line parallel to the front plane. For the exercise, I'm making my cubes transparent, so I'm using my vanishing lines to complete the cubes, drawing lines from the established back left corner parallel to the ground plane, across to the vanishing line on the right side. Then completing that back plane by drawing the vertical lines connecting the right corners of the back plane of my cubes. Here you can clearly see the front and back planes of this stack of cubes are parallel to one another. The angles of the side planes are determined by the width of my boxes and the distance from the vanishing point. Notice how each of these shelves or tops and bottoms of each cube change shape as the stack of cubes goes above and below the horizon line. Moving on to 2 point perspective, I will demonstrate an elevator shaft stack of cubes in 2 point perspective. Again, I will begin with a horizontal horizon line, this time with 2 vanishing points. This time, rather than beginning with the closest plane of the cube, I will start with the closest corner by placing a vertical line between my 2 vanishing points. Then connect the top and bottom of this line to both vanishing points. Next, I will decide how tall I want to make each of my cubes. This time I'm only making 3 cubes and I'm varying them in height. Then I will determine how wide to make my cubes by placing a vertical line connecting the top and bottom vanishing lines. Here I have a stack of 3 opaque cubes, but I'm going to continue the process for this exercise and make my stack transparent. To place the lines for the back right plane of my cube, I will connect the right corners to the left vanishing point, then the left corners to the right vanishing point. Now we can see the stack of 3 cubes on top of one another above and below the horizon line. Now I will demonstrate drawing cubes near and far using both 1 and 2 point perspective. Let's start with 1 point perspective. Begin with a horizon line and a vanishing point. Remember, 1 point perspective, a plane of the cube is closest to the viewer. Connect each corner to the vanishing point. Determine the depth of the cube. Draw horizontal lines connecting to the vanishing lines. I'm making these transparent so I completed the back of this cube. Then, set back on the same vanishing lines, I've repeated the process to draw a cube from further away. Moving on to 2 point perspective, I'll start with the closest corner, connect the top and bottom to each vanishing point, draw vertical lines to determine how wide the cube will be, connect the left corner to the right vanishing point and the right corner to the left vanishing point. I'll make this set of cubes opaque so we won't be able to see the back corner of this cube. For my far cube, I'll use the left plane and draw a cube on the same vanishing lines, starting with the corner. I hid the closest cube here so you can see the process clearly. The left side follows the same vanishing lines, but the right plane will need new vanishing lines to connect the corners to the right vanishing point. Repeat the process of the close cube, connect the left corner to the right vanishing point and the right corner to the left vanishing point. Practice makes perfect here. For part B of your exercise, you will make some ellipses in perspective and use linear perspective to carve out a form and add an appendage onto a cube. You are well on your way to becoming a linear perspective master. I'll walk you through carving a hole and adding an appendage in two-point perspective. Here is a cube from a worm's eye view, looking up from underneath. I'm going to carve a window out of my cube. I started with these vertical lines determining the width. Then I connected the left corner to the right vanishing point to find out where that inside corner will be. Now my cube has a deep window carved out of it. Now I'm going to add a sort of chimney shape on top of my cube. I'll start with the closest corner. I'll have mine coming out of the top of the cube a little bit off center. Basically, I'm adding a small cube on top of my big cube, so I'll connect the top and bottom to each vanishing point. Then mark how wide I want my appendage, then use my vanishing lines to finish my chimney. After I clean up the vanishing lines, I'm left with this floating cube with a form carved out and a form added on top in correct two-point linear perspective. The final concept for this exercise is ellipses. Your handout has a nicely detailed description, and I will show you how to add them to cubes. Once you can draw cubes and ellipses in linear perspective, you can apply that knowledge to most forms. I'm going to add ellipses to my stack of cubes in one-point perspective on the tops and bottoms of each cube. First, I connected the opposite corners of each shelf. Then I'll draw a line from my vanishing point through the cross-section of the X I just made to the front of my cube. Then I will draw a horizontal line across the same cross-section. I will use these points to draw my ellipse, touching at the front and side planes. Notice how the width of each ellipse is the same based off the width of the cubes, but the height and shape differs depending on where the form sits in relation to the horizon line. Now let's apply this to two-point perspective. This time I will draw them on different planes, starting with the very top of all of the cubes. Start by connecting each corner, then drawing a line from each vanishing point through to the edge of the cube. These points will be the points in which the ellipse touches the edge of the cube. Here is the same process on the back right plane of the middle cube, and again on the bottom front right plane. In each ellipse, the side closest to the viewer is wider along the major axis. If this term is new to you, review your handout on ellipses.